It's the goat legs. It takes a lot out of you.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page.
Yes, you're looking at the goat legs.
Why am I looking at the wrong page?
I don't even know where I should be looking.
Player's guide is what Jessica's looking at.
Yes.
Player's guide is what Jessica's looking at.
That was... Wait, we're talking about those yet.
Yeah.
Color. Well...
I didn't put a player avatar in yet.
White is going to be the theme for my character, so I will save it as a white thing.
I both like and dread the Thylian specific Warlock option. Thylian specific Warlock option. Thylian specific Warlock option.
So there's something I really don't understand about the satyrs or the sirens in Odyssey. They're supposed to be aquatic, but they have wings. I'm not sure why we have wings and not just occasionally a mermaid tail.
Because they merged them. They merged them with harpies without being full on harpies.
That's
Because
annoying.
Because sirens in Greek myth weren't always specifically fish people. Because there's also a lot of mythology before the harpy break off of them, of harpies having beautiful melodious voices, luring ships to crash against the rocks.
Okay. I do not remember that portion of Greek mythology on sirens.
And there is also this, this mermaid copyright issue that a certain company that likes to sue might follow up on.
Under the Sea.
The Mouse Overlord?
No, don't sing Disney tunes. I don't want to get a
DMCA right away.
That's right.
Especially when they're actually banning partners.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
I did not. What nonsense is going on now?
Former WWE talent Paige was hosting a watch-along with a movie, and after it got done, her entire page and everything was taken down. She's banned.
Ow.
Because it is in violation of copyright material.
Our mouse overlords are dicks.
That wasn't specifically the mouse. I think it was a Sony production, actually.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned because...
Yeah, it was a Jim Carrey movie, I think.
There are times when the radios are on in Fallout.
Yeah, and you basically can't have your audio.
The first thing I always do is run to turn the radio off, wherever it happens to be.
That's why I try not to stream too much Grand Theft Auto, because those radios.
Yeah.
And you can't, even if you switch it to off, it will, the moment you hop in a car, it goes back to on, even if your settings are prefer off.
That's the thing, like, you'll run into a building in Fallout, and there'll be a radio somewhere inside it that happens to be on. It's like, that was not my choice. I had nothing to do with this decision. It's audio that's in the game.
I was gonna say, I thought most of the songs were part of Fallout's specific copyrights.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That seems...
Right?
Because
I mean,
I didn't choose to put this audio in the game.
I've had YouTube literally label a possible copyright thing on a file because of like 3 lines of badly sung, not even in tune or in pace, lyrics that could belong to a song.
Alrighty, it looks like everybody is here.
Yeah.
Hey.
You do.
It's here. Figured out the techno.
Yay! Alright, so just so everybody's aware, we are streaming the audio and the Foundry thing. We're not doing video currently. We will decide upon that at some point, but for now I think we're good. And it should be interesting for the game, since people have limited experience with D&D 5e, aside from myself.
Only put it.
which is going to be both good and bad. Good in that you don't have any... I don't have to worry about you guys trying to manipulate the rules or come up with things. So the downside is for people that are watching the stream, we may occasionally do things improperly or wrong, but we don't care as long as everybody's having fun.
Ding ding.
Exactly. So for the session...
What? Step up, ring the bell?
Yeah. So for the session 0, what we're going to do is we'll go over the house rules that I tend to use. We'll go over some of the setting material, and we'll make characters. I was looking at the suggested characters that people have, and I find it very interesting that only one person plans to play like a fighter type, and there's a bunch of magical powers. So we'll see how that plays out.
Could be. Yeah. we're like all support.
Yeah.
No, we've got 3 healers.
Trust me. This is an arcane combat class.
Oh, you going with Warlock?
Yeah.
Yeah, Warlock, it's very important to note that Warlocks are not casters in the traditional sense.
Nope.
We've got 3 healers, though.
You do have a significant amount of healing power, which
3
is
different
nice.
type of healing, yeah.
Yeah. Because if... Anita, are you still playing your Minotaur Cleric?
That's the only idea I've had so far.
I'm
not a D&D player at all.
I mean,
like,
traditional, I'm sure it carried over to 5th, but I'm not sure how. But Cleric can be one of the beefiest, tankiest characters out there.
So there is a Cleric form in 5e that we played
Life
in...
Domain.
Yeah, one of the play tests or something. Anyway, Life Domain. I was playing a Life Domain dwarf, and by the end of it, I had more hit points than the fighter, and could wear mail because I was a dwarf. And yeah, that basically might as well have been a paladin. Because it was broken.
Yeah, I'm not sure how she's gonna be. We'll see what happens.
All right. Perfect. So we'll start with the house rules. If you guys have any questions about these, feel free to ask. And I've got them posted in the in Foundry under the Journal tab. You should have access to them. So you can refer to these if you need to. First and foremost, we're going to use XP for leveling, but if somebody can't make a session, then they'll still get a share of the XP, so everybody will still be roughly equivalent level if somebody has to miss a session, because real life happens. If you overcome a monster or an encounter by means other than combat, you will still get XP. You don't get XP for killing the monsters, you get XP for overcoming the encounter. But it does have to be conclusively overcome. So I think it's pretty straightforward. We are gonna be streaming this, so I do request that we keep discussions relatively civil and try to be non-political regarding real-world politics. Just because we all know that will spiral us out of game very, very, very quickly.
I will do my best.
All right.
Probably safer considering some of the personalities.
Yeah. When it comes to dice rolls, try to, before you make the die roll, try to preface it with the fictional narrative of what you're doing or how you're doing a thing. So rather than just saying like, I persuade the guard to look away, you know, tell me how you persuade the guard. I don't consider role-playing to necessarily be talking in first person or doing accents, although that's like the icing on the cake. I consider roleplay to be making the decisions and doing actions that your character would do. Player versus player is detrimental to the game. Disagreements are fine, arguments are fine. Make sure you check in with the other player so they understand that it's an in-character disagreement. You know, we're all adults, we know how these things go. You can, if it comes down to it, you can use your skills against other PCs. So if your character has intimidation as a skill and you want to intimidate another PC, it's perfectly allowable. Just make sure that you, again, check in with the other person. Stealing from the other PCs, however, is never okay. That, more than anything else, that leads to really hard feelings. So we will just be upfront and say, no, let's not do that. But since I don't think anybody plans on making a rogue, I don't think we have to worry too much about it. Character secrets are fine, especially when it comes to like your character's background or the epic path that you may be following. But they're not considered to be real unless they come up in-game. So if your character is, you know, the child of a city ruler, if you never bring it up in-game and the NPC never brings it up in-game, then it's not real per se. Try not to hoard plot. If you get a plot cookie, try to share the wealth. Try to bring everybody else along. So like if your epic path leads you in a direction, you know, don't just go off by yourself. Try to convince the party to go with you. Wheaton's Law applies. So don't be a dick. Again, I've played with all of you, so I don't think this is necessarily going to be a problem. When it comes to things like charm or suggestion or curses, you will still be able to portray the character as long as you stay true to the story being told and the power that's in effect. I'm not going to take over your character as an NPC just because they failed a saving throw against a charmed person, provided you act like the person who charmed you is your friend. You will have the knowledge that you learn in-game. So like if you encounter trolls, for example, you don't necessarily know that fire stops their regeneration, but once you figure that out, then you have access to that information.
I will have no trouble with that particular guideline.
Excellent.
Not knowing anything about... Well, I know some stuff about D&D, but not nearly enough to be a problem.
I've played 5e and stuff, but I always forget rules because I'm so much more of a story person. Rules just go out the window.
I haven't played since second.
I haven't played since last week.
No shock there.
Yeah. If you go about murder hoboing your way through the game, there will be logical repercussions. So I'm not going to say no, don't do that, but just be aware that there will be logical repercussions.
What? Cause and effect?
Yes, cause and effect. Because we're streaming, we are going to try to run regularly, but we will need at least 3 players other than myself. If it happens that we leave off a scene in the middle of a combat or something, players who are absent can be controlled by another player or the game master, but are otherwise considered to be absent. In terms of ethical concerns, some of the titans and even some of the gods and the religions are pretty horrific. There are human sacrifices, including sometime of the young. Lutheria in particular, her cult is known to use mind magic and charm spells for ritualistic orgies. This stuff will never be portrayed on screen. People are aware that this happens, but it's not the sort of thing that's going to be, you know, the shot is not going to frame such activity. It's assumed you guys are aware that these things happen, but it's not going to be something that we dwell on in the game.
Yeah, the old gods are pretty nasty.
Yes, and even some of the new gods that have shown up in the setting.
The new gods aren't super awesome; they're just less nasty. Yeah,
it is. It's very much. Yeah, it's based off of loosely Greek mythology. It's like Greek mythology by way of Clash of the Titans and Xena. So the gods are not omnipotent. They are not omnipresent. They have mortal forms. They walk around the world. They sometimes are involved in politics of a city.
Half the time they're worse than mortals.
But they have a lot of mortal foibles and issues. They are very much kind of a mortal with godlike powers.
And they like making demigods.
And they do like making demigods.
Some of them, they specifically do call out who does it the most.
Yeah, there is actually one of the epic paths is specifically about being a demigod. Should it come up in game, any consensual sexual situations will fade to black. We're not going to portray that in game. People go off, the scene fades to black, the next morning comes, sort of thing.
You just have to have a little sound effect.
There you go.
Or just, how do you take your coffee?
Yes. For character creation, there are preferences for character races and archetypes from the Odyssey of the Dragonlords book, just because I feel it plays into the setting more than having, you know, a Dragonborn or a Tiefling or something of that nature. Those races, well, Dragonborn actually don't exist in the world, but Tieflings do. But any of the elves, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, etc., are very, very rare. Just because of the way the world is set up. Alignment. I don't consider alignment to be a necessary part of D&D. If you find it's absolutely crucial to your character concept, by all means, jot it down on your character sheet. But I don't consider it to be necessary. Play the character that you want to play. Don't be constrained by an artificial, 3x3 grid of law and chaos and good and evil. That being said, at the start of the game, your characters are heroes. That doesn't necessarily mean you're a good person. You may have been accidentally heroic. But you've done some great things.
I threw this discus and it killed this evil king in the stands.
That sort of thing. A lot of the ancient Greek heroes in mythology are not good people. Jason abandons Medea. Hercules, in a drunken psychotic rage or poison, depending on the myth, kills his wife. The heroes in Greek mythology, there's a heavy amount of tragedy with them. At the start of the game, you have done something, and part of the character creation process will be generating some rumors that other people have heard about your character. And those will be distributed to each other at the start of the game. So you will have heard something about, about this fighter or about this warlock or whatever. The trick with the rumors is at least one of them has to be true. That being said, there's no mechanics about it. So if you decide that one of the rumors going around is that your character has slayed some potent beast and you decide that's true, the actual story is how you managed to do that as opposed to did you do that. I do use passive skill checks, which is your skill level plus 10. I use it for more than just perception. So sometimes if your skill's high enough, I will just tell you that you succeed rather than going through the mechanics of rolling dice. If it comes up, the DM's guide has this handy thing called the potion miscability table. Which is if you use 2 potions in relatively quick succession, there's a table to see how well the effects mix.
That makes sense. It's like taking multiple medications.
Right.
Yeah. Generally not a good idea.
No, not usually.
Right.
And then the party cleric will have to look at the toxicology report.
Yeah. Always check with your local apothecary for how potions may intermingle. When it comes to things like picking locks, disarming traps, persuading people, etc., etc., whatever you roll stands, so you don't get to keep rolling something because you failed until you succeed. If you're making the roll, it's because success or failure is important, and you don't necessarily get to keep trying things until you succeed. That being said, sometimes, if you're trying to pick a lock on a door, even a failed roll may result in the door being opened. It's just you may break your thieves' tools in the process, or you may attract attention, or whatever.
Yeah, success at cost.
Success at a cost. Critical hits, and this is already programmed into Foundry. Critical hits mean you double the number of dice that you roll, and then you add your modifiers. There's no further effects. I don't use critical hit tables or fumble tables or anything like that because they're stupid.
We're not playing Rollmaster.
We're not playing Rollmaster. If you roll a 1 on an attack, you miss. That's it. You don't drop your sword. You don't embed your sword in a wall. You don't break your weapon. You miss. Yes, exactly. A natural 1 on a skill check does not necessarily mean you fail. It just means you have a 1 and whatever your bonuses are. What else? It is a bonus action to use a potion on yourself, and a standard action to use it on somebody else. That's if you watch Critical Role, that's the same rule they use there. Teleport, when you get to that level, teleport effects actually do make a small audible popping noise, so you can sometimes determine if somebody teleports in or out, basically as the air rushes in to fill the vacuum. Death is a possibility, especially at low levels. If a character dies, your new character will come in at the same level as the party with the gear based on the chart in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So, like, if the rest of the party is 7th level and your character dies, you're not coming back at 1st level, you're coming back at 7th level. If you roll a 1 on a death save, I do not have that count as 2 failures. I think that's a dumb rule, but rolling a natural 20 will revive you with 1 hit point. That is pretty much it for the house rules. If there is any questions.
Yes.
Okay.
So the potions, it was a bonus to use it on yourself?
Yes.
Or on someone else? Okay. And then standard to use it on someone else?
Correct.
Excellent. Making my cheat sheet already.
Okay. The world of Thylea. Thylea is it's a continent surrounded on all sides by ocean, called the Forgotten Sea. The actual natives of Thylea are centaurs, cyclops, Gigans, which are like multi-handed, multi-armed giants, nymphs, satyrs, and a couple of other races. About 500 years ago, though, there was an influx of settlers of human, elven, and dwarven types. They arrived about 500 years ago. They are still considered outsiders. It's kind of like if you move to the Maritimes from any place other than the Maritimes, you will always be considered from over there.
Even if you move to other places within the Maritimes, from within the Maritimes, you are still other.
Depends which maritime place you came from.
Exactly.
I know this firsthand.
Yeah. So yes. So if you are one of those races, you are still considered to be an outsider. Oaths. Oaths in Thylea are very seriously. They are basically the sort of thing that draws the attention of the gods. If you swear an oath to do a thing, the gods pay attention, and if you break the oath, the punishments can be quite severe, and up to and including curses. That is how the race or species of the Medusa came about, is because they broke oaths to the gods and were cursed. The Titans. There's 3 main Titans. There's a couple of lesser ones. They're not necessarily evil. 2 of them are very, very evil. But some of them are still good. When it comes to religion, the Titans generally represent natural things. So like mountains and storms and the land itself and the wind and the waters, those are represented by the Titans within the pantheon, whereas the 5 gods represent man-made things like music and knowledge and warfare and things like that. So that's kind of where that breakdown happens. So if you're making a cleric, for example, you don't necessarily have to go like, well, I'm a PC, so I need to worship one of the 5 gods. You can completely worship one of the Titans and still be a PC.
They have a lot of divine power to give.
They do. The three primary titans. Thylia is the mother goddess who watches over the continent. She and her husband, Kentamane, had a lot of children, which formed the pantheon known as the Titans. The two most powerful ones, and also the two most evil ones, are Sidon, who is the Lord of Storms. He once ruled all of the land before the arrival of the mortals, and wants to once again dominate the land. He controls all of the waters of Thylia, including the weather, and as a result, he is openly worshipped everywhere, with daily sacrifices. Again, the gods are not some nebulous concept to the people of the lands. They are very real. And the people realize that if they do not make these sacrifices to Sidon, they will be punished. So it's not a esoteric concept. So even in a city that's relatively civilized, there are still shrines and daily sacrifices to the Lord of Storms. His sister/wife, Lutheria, is the Mistress of Death. She has dominion over the underworld and is like a weird combination of Hades and Dionysus. She seeks to corrupt the mortals and capture their souls for her amusement. But because she is Sidon's wife/sister, people worship her so as to not offend him. So there are frequent sacrifices to her. There are wine festivals throughout the land in her honor. She is very much openly worshipped, but it's a worship based out of fear as opposed to devotion, generally. For years, for centuries, Thylia was largely a wilderness. Until the coming of the mortals, who at first lived in small defenseless tribes. About 500 years ago, there was an order called the Dragonlords. Basically, these like larger-than-life, heroic, dragon-riding mortals, who initiated the first war against the Titans and defeated their armies. Most of the Dragonlords and their dragons were killed during the conflict. But just when all seemed lost, the mortals of Thylia were saved by the sudden appearance of the five gods. Gods who walk the land in mortal guise but have divine powers. They forced a temporary truce called the Oath of Peace upon the Titans, which has prevented open warfare for 500 years. But now the truce is ending. The power of the gods is waning, and the Titans are getting ready to wage war upon the mortals again. Recently, a water nymph named Versi, who is regarded as the most famous prophet of Thylia, has had a vision of the future. Oh, did we lose somebody? Oh, we lost B. So she had this terrifying vision of the future now that the Oath of Peace is coming to an end, as basically the call is going out throughout the land for a band of heroes to join together to confront the Titans. They know that after 500 years of pent-up frustration, Sidon and Lutheria especially are going to be just destroying the mortals. In the city, in Thylia itself, there's three major kingdoms. They're Mitros, Astoria, and Aricia. Mitros is essentially kind of like Athens. It is the largest city. It's the center of all commerce, religion, and politics. The king there is one of the last descendants of the Dragonlords, so his line goes all the way back 500 years. The city of Astoria is an ancient stronghold that resisted centuries of attacks. It is essentially Sparta. The ruler of Astoria is King Pythor, who is also the god of battle. The last one is the city of Aricia, which is a rival kingdom to Mitros. Basically, it's kind of like it would be like Troy. So the two cities have been engaged in dozens of wars over the last several hundred years. The ruler of Erysia is Queen Helen. Other than that, for the world, the rest of the information would be in the player's handbook that I linked to in the Facebook group. So, for those of you that are watching, if anybody's watching, they did release the player's guide to Odyssey of the Dragonlords free through DriveThruRPG. Any questions so far?
Not really.
Alrighty.
Nope.
Perfect. Alright. So, character creation. In Foundry, if you go over to the actor directory, which is the little one that looks like a little dude, you should have access to a blank character sheet. And if you just double click on that, that'll bring up a character sheet for you to fill things in on.
You click on new actor? Or is it under PCs?
It's under PCs.
Oh, never mind.
I already made ones for everybody that should have the proper permission so that you can interact with it. You won't be able to actually drag it.
Only me, is that normal?
Yes, I have them set so that everybody has permissions only for their own character.
Cool.
So what we're going to do for stats, rather than using point by or a standard array, each of you is going to roll one stat, so that will give us kind of a custom array for the game. So everybody will basically roll 4d6. Drop the lowest basically. So in Foundry, if you type /r space 46 K3, that will generate the number for you. And then everybody will have this same array of stats to use. And if they look too low, then I will assign some extra points that you can use to buff it up.
No, I missed a slash, didn't I?
You did. So /r space and then the 46 K3.
Oh. /r. Sorry.
Yeah.
/4r space. Can I put the text in the Discord? I'll just copy and paste.
Alrighty.
Please and thank you.
Okay, Anita, it took me a minute. I'm surprised I didn't screw it up.
Yeah. Not a problem. There, I'll post it into Discord and you can cut and paste. So far, a bunch of average people.
Very.
Yeah.
Hey, B should be back momentarily. He's just switching computers.
Yep. Jeff will have to roll us something good.
Please do.
You clearly have not played Tour.
You're not rolling a d20. You'll be fine.
I haven't played anything with you in so long, Jeff.
True.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. Please, will save us.
Mom, B, I need something better for my charisma.
Oh man.
Bard with low charisma is gonna suck.
Chris, is your 15? Does your 15 count?
It might. We'll see what B rolls. So I think what we're looking at right now is the 5 of you will each generate a stat. My 15 will count, and then I may have to give you guys a couple extra points.
Wow. Even I know these are not good stats.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're horrible.
The I kind of like the method that they used for campaign 2 of Critical Role was you roll your 4d6, keep the 3 best, and if your total stats are less than 70, you re-roll. So what I might do is if your stats are less than 70, I may just give you enough points to bump the total up to 70, and you can put the points into whatever stats you like.
Or we can just be the group of substitute heroes.
Or that. That is
We
definitely
are
an
the
option.
B team.
Oh gosh.
You know what? That's probably how this campaign's gonna go anyway.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
I do like the idea of, you know, basically a couple of like relatively average people rising to the challenge.
Josh, what was that movie we just watched? That little animated on Netflix.
Oh, I have no clue.
I can't remember what it's called, but there's this movie on Netflix where it's just this average family, and they're driving their daughter to college, and suddenly robots take over the world.
Meet the Mitchells.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
And
it's supposed to be really good.
it was adorable. I loved it. It was perfect. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a cell phone controls a bunch of AI robots and takes over the world.
Spoilers. We
That
have live
happens in the
audience.
first 2 seconds.
Let's
Anyway,
see.
it was a good movie. I liked it.
What do you guys have for stats so far? Well, the good news is, counting the 15, your stats total 60, so there's some wiggle room
We're
for...
still waiting on B. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of wiggle room there to get something higher than a 12. But I mean, my roll should not be the high roll. That's not how the dice tend to go. I'm sure you guys will be fine.
I don't roll very well on computers. I roll better with physical dice.
I
Kind
don't.
of sad. I'm a little sad we're using computers. I know why we're using computers, but Josh just bought me like new cotton candy colored dice. I really want to use it.
I need a made me a set specifically for a rogue character that I have in mind that I haven't gotten to play.
Put her dice.
Also, that reminds me, Anita, I've been meaning to ask you because I looked on your Facebook page and I couldn't find it. How much is a set of your dice?
$30.
$30? Okay. Is that B's roll?
There's a bunch
Sorry.
of juice.
I'll make an additional roll, and then if B comes back and wants to roll, he can. So
And if his better is better, we'll just exclude yours.
that's my thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm reading up on Minotaurs right now while we're waiting for him.
I am writing down all of my relevant cheat notes from my Siren and my Bard portions.
Alrighty.
I'm stuck on which path.
Oh, for the epic paths.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes my Discord likes to want to drop on me for no particular reason.
Yeah. I've noticed it tends to happen more. It tends to happen more with like phones and other devices, and then with laptops, and then desktops are kind of like the last one to go.
Not a shot.
Okay. Well, the good news is, looking at this array, is there's nothing in there that's going to cause anybody any penalties.
No.
So it could be worse.
And with your natural bonuses, your racial bonuses, there's enough wiggle room to kind of make things nice.
Exactly. So that gives everybody 3 11s, a 12, a 13, and a 15 to put in their stats. The nice thing with the character sheet is the character sheet will like automatically calculate your bonuses and your initiative and all of that stuff. Just in case you're
I'm
curious.
not gonna lie, I'm putting things on.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Anything 12 or higher will actually give you a bonus.
I'm putting things on actual paper before I put it in there.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly understandable.
Granted, as a fighter, I think mine basically revolve around strength, dex, and con, right?
Right, and if you plan to go like more heavy armor, then you don't have to worry as much about dexterity. Because in 5th edition, heavy armor doesn't allow your dex bonus to add to your armor class.
Gotcha.
The way it goes, light armor, so like leather, studded leather, and I think hide and padded, you get your full dexterity bonus. Medium armor, which is like your chainmail, your splint, your banded, that sort of thing, gets your dexterity bonus usually up to a maximum of +2, kind of like in Torg Eternity with the max dex thing. And then heavy armor, so like your plate armor and things of that nature, don't apply your dex bonus at all. They're just a flat AC.
Gotcha. Well, as a hoplite, it's probably sword and board for the most part.
Yeah, the hoplite, a lot of their stuff involves having a shield, so...
Got big shield, spear.
Yeah.
Which stat governs weaponry?
For most melee weapons, it's strength.
Alright, good.
Yeah, most melee weapons are strength, most ranged weapons are dexterity. Some weapons are listed as finesse, which means you can use either strength or dexterity, whichever is better for you. And some weapons are listed as thrown, which means you can use your strength bonus. So like a javelin or a spear, something that you can throw uses your strength instead of your dexterity. 5e is much simpler than 2nd edition.
Yeah, that got messy.
Well, it's not like D&D 3rd edition messy or 3.5 messy, but yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, to be fair, it was, I think, 2nd edition was the first time where they really kind of doubled down on skills and non-weapon proficiencies, so they had a lot to juggle at the time. A lot of new things that...
Yeah, second had been around for so long, too, that I think they just hit the end of the well of what they could do with it, and then they decided to rejigger for 3rd and get a new system. Hopefully folks liked it, and then just move.
Yeah.
Forward, and it was another massive amount of points.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so B's laptop isn't connecting to anything. So I just told him if he just wants to, because I know he's got access to the books. If he wants to just make his character, and then I'll add it on to Foundry for him. It's not a problem. All right.
Just push the numbers into the things that you want and go from there.
Yeah, like all of your stats should be set at 10. So if you just type them in, it'll calculate everything from that point.
Well, I know where the 11s are going. Smart.
I don't know where anything's going in.
If you're interested in playing a cleric, you're probably going to want the 15 to go into wisdom.
Yeah, I'm just...
probably would throw the 13
Yeah, I was
to
in the,
intelligence.
I was reading
Or
on the
con.
Minotaur stuff.
Yeah, con would be good too. I
I
don't
get
know
a-
what.
As a Minotaur, I get a bonus on my strength and constitution already, so I'm thinking I can use that
Okay.
to make up for some of the loss elsewhere. But for
Yeah.
some reason, my little my file won't go down to the cleric section.
It's a really interesting combo actually, because normally Minotaurs are typically fighter barbarian types, so it'll be fun to see the trope thrown on its head.
I'll see if I
How do
manage.
you how do you add the spellcaster levels?
All right.
So say if I want to be a druid and then pick my spells in for the spellbook.
Yep. So yeah, so you don't have to worry about a spellbook. Basically, druids and clerics, you will have access to all the spells of that level, and then when you get up in the morning, you decide which ones you're actually going to prepare for the day. So when we get to that section, your spell list should automatically populate once we drop the character onto your character sheet.
Okay.
Once we get to that point.
I have cheat cards.
Alrighty. So do people have their stats added in?
I have mine written down.
Told you that.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of variation in the stats anyway. So.
There's really not. You guys are pretty.
Bad rolling.
You guys are
Bad, like,
pretty average members of your respective races, with one area where you're a little bit more exceptional. So it's kind of runs with the trope of being a hero is like somebody who is relatively average but good at a certain thing.
Yeah, because come to think of it, most Greek heroes really just did one thing really stupidly well.
Exactly. You know.
And that ability was usually given to them by a god.
Yep. No free rides, that's for sure.
No. Hey Helen, you're just really pretty. That's it.
Yep. Hey Hercules, you want to be strong but kind of dumb?
Yeah.
For Paris the Archer.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey Achilles, aside from your heal, how do you feel about invulnerability?
Yeah. That's good
Yeah,
at an
'cause-
archer. Paris was amazing because, I mean, that's a hard target to hit.
That's right.
And honestly, if it was Achilles was really that great of a tactician, that war would have been over a lot sooner.
True. Alrighty. So the next step for character background, and I don't mean background as in like your backstory, but where your character came from. There is a list of backgrounds, things like, you know, you're an acolyte or you're a criminal or you're a hermit or whichever. So rather than worry about what skills they may give you or things of that nature, we will just determine kind of like where do you think your character came from, and we'll figure out which background is most likely to apply. That way it's a little bit more kind of narrative driven as opposed to, oh, this one gives me training with thieves tools, and oh, this gives me persuasion.
Okay.
So let me find a notepad here. All right. So Josh, what was your character's background like?
Well, so far what I've got up to this point is that he falls under the backstories for the centaur druids that basically go into the human towns and try and sell the goodness of Ilia
Okay.
to the humans. So yeah, I figured if anything, maybe he would follow under the I've played 5th, so context. Okay. So he'd follow more under the acolyte, truthfully, of preaching the religion and the goodness, and kind of everybody should get along. Or at least that's kind of what I understand of.
Okay, that makes complete sense. Jessica, what sort of background for your bard?
So my whole concept for my bard is she's kind of like a typical 2000s emo child. She's really super young, like fresh out of the, not fresh out of the homestead because she's some kind of hero, but like in her early 20s for a siren, which is super young.
Yeah, it's like being 20 for an elf.
Yeah. And so she's done stuff, but she's just, nothing makes her happy because that whole loss of her home is just driven into her, and she's had to grow up way too fast. She had her parents, but they were, again, that whole loss of homestead is so culturally ingrained in them that she's just never really experienced what happiness or home is supposed to be. They just kind of moved around from town to town, found jobs where they could live that whole kind of like gypsy-esque life. And she's never really settled anywhere. She's never had that feeling of home and proper family and anything like that.
So the Outlander background might fit you then. It's basically it's traditionally more of a kind of like a wanderer barbarian type background, but it means that you're used to surviving on your own. You don't have a lot of experience with cities. You've traveled a fair bit. You've seen things that other people haven't seen. So like you've visited distant lands and the like.
Yeah, that makes sense for her, because she's got no real homeland. That's one of her driving goals, is to find somewhere she can properly call home.
Perfect. All right, Jeff, what sort of background do you have in mind for your hoplite?
Well, I just kind of figured it was. I planned on being sort of, I don't know, like almost like disowned from the family. Essentially, I would have grown up in a smaller farming community outside one of the larger cities, and then at some point in time felt the calling of the god of battle, and this of course put me at odds with my father and family. So I was essentially disowned, renamed myself my own name, and then moved off to join the forces.
What? Your family didn't want you to mindlessly offer yourself up for slaughter?
Funny how that works.
Weird, huh?
So like a professional soldier then?
Yes, very much. I went and joined the ranks of the hoplites.
Perfect. There's like a soldier background, so that fits perfectly. All right, Anita.
Yes.
What sort of?
I'm going to be playing a Minotaur. Cleric, weirdly enough. And I'm thinking that she is an albino. So she is essentially would be a pure white bull.
Okay.
If she was actually in bull form. Instead, she's got kind of the, from what I've read, the Minotaur-ish like features, but all of her fur is essentially like stark white.
Gotcha.
You're gonna doppel hard to keep clean.
Yeah, I know. I can't hear B, but I can hear his background. But yeah, thinking she was born stark white and was given to a local temple and has basically been raised there. And I'm trying to decide if she's going to be serving the god. I had a note somewhere. I don't know if she's going to serve the Titan Mother or one of the 5 gods.
Chris, I had a quick question. Do we have to choose a god, or can we just completely disown that whole idea?
You don't necessarily have to choose a god unless you're a cleric. But everybody does pay like service to the gods, like sacrifices or alms at the temple or whatever. Like the gods are very real. It's not the sort of thing. It's like disbelieving in the prime minister.
So much disbelieving in them, but I think they're all dicks and don't want anything to do with them if I can avoid it.
Yeah.
How's my mic pick up, because I don't have push to talk, so I have to flip the mute switch.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, good, because I'm watching a wrestling thing and also hearing this.
Yeah, I just take mine on and off of mute physically on my mic, because that way you don't hear like a reverb of Chris from the living room.
Yeah. So while you were gone there, B, if you want to, in Foundry, if you want to roll 4d6, keep 3, so /R space 46k3, see if you can roll better than a 13.
If you can roll something other than an 11 or 12. So for while we're waiting for B, for the cleric, you said which was it? Wisdom?
Yes, wisdom is
primary?
Wisdom is definitely the primary.
Excellent. I'm down into the
Con is usually your hit points too. Those are kind of important.
Yep.
Yeah, I get a con bonus already as a minotaur.
Nothing wrong with more con.
Yeah, that's true. Living is good.
Living is always good.
Slap that puppy right. That secondary step.
Yeah.
Unless B can manage to roll us a really good number.
Yeah, my laptop doesn't get along well with Foundry. And the fact that I've got Foundry, Twitch, and Discord all running at the same time, my laptop's going. It's making terrible faces at me. I can just tell.
I don't blame it.
At least we're not doing video. If we were doing video, my laptop would have just given me the finger and given up already. It's done that before.
So is that just the stage we're at? It's just rolls?
Fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we're going through character backgrounds and stuff. So. So in the meantime, there, Anita, do you feel you were more? Are you more an acolyte, like Josh's character, somebody who was raised by the church, believes in the church, or were you more sequestered and more hermetic-like?
I think she's had plenty of interactions with the public. Like, she's more, I think, of an acolyte where she actually does, help out. She goes among the public and interacts with people and does her clerical. Sounds like I'm typing. She does her cleric's duties.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah. So it's interesting. We have 2 acolytes, but for 2 different deities, probably.
Completely different things.
Yep.
All right. So we'll take the 13 I rolled instead of the 9 that B rolled.
Yeah.
We are doomed.
This is gonna be great! The gods are against us already. It's probably my fault.
So many, probably. You know, if you had made your sacrifices like you're supposed to, you wouldn't have brought the doom down upon us.
Because I called them all dicks.
Right.
I mean, what are the odds that the 4 dice are 2, 2, 1, 5?
Yeah.
Ouch. Oh. That's painful.
So I posted the array to the Discord there. So it's 3 11s, a 12, a 13, and a 15.
Sorry, Shay was also talking to me if that was to me.
I just let you know I posted the array into the Discord.
More to everyone.
Yeah. So 3 11s, a 12, a 13, and a 15. So,
well,
not
the people who are better at this game or have played any version of D&D. Wisdom 15. Probably she does a lot with the public, so I think, or she has. I think that's where I'm going to put in charisma.
Yeah, charisma is
Maybe.
Useful. Either charisma or wisdom, or charisma or intelligence, I would say, for a cleric. Normally.
Yeah, I'll go wisdom 15, intelligence 13, charisma 12.
Yeah.
And then we've got what, 3 11s?
Yep.
Yes.
11s and all others.
And with your bonuses, that's gonna make you super well rounded.
Yeah, well, she'll get as a minotaur. Scroll here. My strength will increase by 2 and my constitution by 1. So I'm not terribly concerned about the fact that I'm putting 11s in those to start.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere on this character sheet? Oh, never mind. Does this... It doesn't automatically change anything. How... Is there a way that we can get that to auto-update on our character sheet?
Your racial bonuses?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or do we just fill it in ourselves? Oh, okay. How?
Nope. I will get those for everybody.
Okay.
Just because it's a little bit easier if I do it. Minotaur, here we go. Import, yes.
What's a racial bonus?
All right, so...
Nothing you need to worry about, human.
Exactly.
Humans actually get awesome racial bonuses.
humans do get some pretty good, especially variant humans. All right. So, as a variant human, you get to add increase 2 ability scores by +1. So, what 2 would you like to boost?
Who are you talking to?
To Jeff. Oh,
so I get to boost by 1, 2 different stats?
Yep. And
strength and common.
Okay, perfect. I was about to say, even numbers give you the next bonus, though.
Yeah, so I'll go to 16 strength and 14 con.
Okay. As a variant human, you get automatic training in a skill of your choice. So, like acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, athletics, deception, any of the skills you get an automatic training in just as part of being a human.
Okay. Well, I'll go to athletics.
Okay. Always a good choice for a fighter type. You get training in another language of your choice. So aside from the common speech of the land, you get training in a language of your choice. Just just so everybody's aware, in this world, there are no goblins, there are no goblinoids, there are no orcs. But Elvish is probably, of the standard D&D languages, Elvish is probably the most common, non-common language.
Probably in the military, that's what I would be taking.
Okay.
Elvish.
Okay. All right. Now, as a variant human, you also get to choose a feat. Feats in 5th edition are basically specific ways in which your character breaks the rules. So there's something like toughness, for example, gives you extra hit points and extra hit points every time you level up. There's one called Shield Mastery, which enables you to use your shield to better effect. There's one that boosts your initiative. There's one that lets you, if somebody's moving away from you and you attack them, it stops their movement. There's a variety of different feats. I don't think there's anything specifically kind of spear-oriented. Oh, there is one called Piercer, which increases your strength and dexterity by 1. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals piercing damage like a spear, you can re-roll one of the attack's damage dice, but you have to use the new one. And if you score a critical, you get to roll an additional damage die to determine the piercing damage.
That sounds very applicable to my character.
It does sound very, very applicable. I'll add that. So would you like to increase your strength or your dexterity?
I think I'll go with strength.
Okay. Done.
I'll try to push something towards heroic level.
Okay. And Jessica, you were going with a siren. So when you look at your character sheet, Jessica, the +1 for dexterity and the +2 to charisma is added on there. So when you plug in the stats that you have written down, just remember that your dex has a +1 and your charisma has a +2.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem. And B, what race were you planning?
Well, Raphael of Arisia is not open, but looks really an aura.
All right. Perfect. At least you've got a couple of charismatic people in the party at any rate.
It's my primary attack,
Yes. Funny how bards and warlocks tend to fall into that that category. And the other thing that we didn't determine for Arathius, what sort of background do you think they came from?
Well, I'm thinking that as I coalesced from the heavens themselves to explore the world and find out mysteries, unfortunately I did make a pact with the Fates themselves. If any creature could be truly called evil that isn't one of the Titans or one of the 50 gods, he's definitely Fates.
And very much so.
And as an agent of the Fates, sometimes that calls on me to do things I would rather not do, but it does lead me to discover more of the world around me and the people in it. So he's been a wanderer. Unlike some of the nymphs who collect people, like say the Oracle, hasn't spent as much time around people because not fighting my duty to the Fates, but at the same time, I'm not spending time in the big cities. I'm less likely than to make someone hate their Fates.
So, are you more of an Outlander then?
A little bit more of an Outlander, which is why Con became my secondary stat to try and show I'm a little harder, not just because of hit points.
Perfect. Alrighty. So I will drop the backgrounds in. Alright. So for Josh, you get to choose 2 skills that you would like training in. You automatically have training in animal handling, medicine, nature, and religion.
So those are, just so I understand properly here, Chris, so those are the ones that I have to pick from out of the 2?
No, you automatically have training in animal handling, medicine, nature, and religion.
Oh, okay. And then I get to pick 2 additional?
And you get to pick 2 additional.
Woo! Skill whore. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Alright, well...
It is
Yes.
absolutely a thing. It's usually the bard, though.
So he's. Sorry, what are you up to right now?
He's picking his skills. I'll go through each class one at a time so people can pick their skills. So yeah, I'll have an idea as to what skills everybody has.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I guess if I'm picking 2 additional, Chris, I'll probably go with survival. And, based off of the fact that I'm going the Acolyte, I'd probably also pick history.
Okay, perfect. Use default. What language other than Common would you like to speak?
So I'd probably pick, well, it all depends. Is Abyssal on the table?
It would be actually. It would be like the language of the underworld, so the language of like Lutheria and her agents and minions.
Yeah, I think if anything, I'd probably pick up Abyssal. Also, it helps me maybe competitively here, Nita. Maybe, you know, your character from the cleric side goes ahead and practices on that end. But then also, you know, I'm trying to also do the Alkalite thing a little bit too, right? So we probably have cross pacts at some point. But yeah, Abyssal.
Some bizarre conversations over the campfire about morality and gods and
Exactly.
what's right and wrong and good and evil has no meaning, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. As an acolyte, would you like to have a prayer book or a prayer wheel?
We'll go with the prayer book.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So that is added onto your character sheet. I need also an acolyte.
I need another computer. I managed to break a nail off.
Oh.
And, yeah, it hurts.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to go to the next person, feel free. I will be a minute while I try to get feeling back in my finger.
Okay. I will do so.
Thank you.
So Jeff, as a fighter, what 2 skills would Deacon like to learn? He's already trained in athletics.
Okay. Alrighty, well, I'm thinking I would like some stealth.
Okay.
And
Just so you guys are... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think I'll take perception.
Okay. Somebody has to. Just so you guys are aware, rather than having gold to buy starting equipment, I'm just going to use the standard equipment for your class and your background, just because it's a little bit easier and faster, rather than having nickel and dime everything that you're buying. What 2 languages or kind of tools would you like to use? Like, do you want to speak another language, or do you want to know how to use like play a musical instrument or make maps, or you know how to navigate, know how to gamble?
I would say... Well, I was raised on a farm, so probably something to do with that.
Alright. So probably like land vehicles that would let you, like, you know how to like drive a wagon and that sort of thing.
Yeah, land vehicles, work the land, ride the horses, do the things.
Yep. And you get to choose 2 languages or tools, so you can choose something else.
Why don't we take, like, map reading, creation, that kind of stuff, like learning the lay of the land.
Gotcha. So cartographer's tools. Perfect. Skip that. Okay, there. All right. So your starting equipment, it'll automatically populate in your character sheet, so you can take a look at it. But to pass the time, do you have a set of dice, or do you have a set of playing cards?
Set of playing cards.
Okay.
The only difference was I said that you'll probably unleash on them right away. Just like beat the shit out of starters.
Okay. For Rathius, for your Outlander, what 2 skills would you like to be trained in?
Well, I think I would definitely like them to have, because I already put in my Warlock. I think I would definitely like to have perception as well, even though it's not the greatest. But that's
Okay. Good woodlandy type skills. You get to choose 2 languages or tool proficiencies.
So tool proficiencies, I didn't quite hear you talking to Jeff about it. This is really new to me too. So.
Yeah. So tool proficiencies are gear that you know how to use. So this is like navigator tools, or forgery kits, or thieves tools, or land vehicles, or that sort of thing.
Okay.
Wagons and carts and stuff. And chariots.
Chariot makes sense.
I think navigation tools and something else.
Sorry, and Elvin?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. For Helena, you are also an Outlander.
Yes, I am.
Bunch of like outsiders and religious folks in the party.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. That's all heroes, isn't it?
Sure. You get to choose 2 skills that you would like training in.
2 skills. So I get 5 in total because I get 3 randos for being a bard.
Yeah, you'll get when I do the classes, you'll get more options. I like to do the background before the classes so that you have it just makes sense to me to do it that way.
That does make sense. I think I will take animal handling because that sounds like fun, just because I can. And actually religion, because it actually kind of makes sense for her.
Yeah, given the siren's background and everything.
Yeah. So she's very the whole their slight against the gods and that guilt is just so ingrained.
Yes, definitely. You also get to choose 2 languages and or tool proficiencies.
Okay. I guess I'll take 2 languages because I can't really think of a tool proficiency. Traps maybe?
There's not really
Thieves' tools.
Yeah, Thieves' tools. Thieves' tools is definitely an option.
Okay.
Trapping and stuff would fall under survival.
Okay. I will take Thieves' tools then. And what's a fun language that I don't already have?
So far you have Common and you get Celestial.
Yeah. I think sirens are supposed to be part celestial or something.
They are. They're directly descended from the gods.
What about something like Undercommon?
Undercommon is not going to come up in the game.
Okay. Thieves can't?
Yeah, they would explain why you've got your Thieves' tools. You've spent some time with some shady people.
Yeah, well, she's got that whole dipsy thing going on, right?
Well, we'll not use the term gypsy since it is...
Sorry,
yeah.
I apologize. She's got the whole rebellious teenager...
There we go.
Angry at everybody thing.
Perfect, yep. In her wanderings has run around with some fairly sketchy people in her past.
Yeah.
Alright. And Anita, who has fixed her broken nail emergency, hopefully?
Yes, although the tip of my finger is still kind of numb, which is not terrific.
Oh no.
So what am I choosing?
You get to choose 2 skills. You are automatically trained in perception as a Minotaur.
Gotcha. Probably should choose religion, given where I am.
It will make those religious debates easier.
Yes. And medicine. For sure.
Okay. You also get to choose 2 languages and or tool proficiencies.
Is that in addition to Abyssal?
Yeah, you have Common and Abyssal automatically.
Is there somewhere where I can see a list of languages? Since I don't know.
There's probably one in the rulebook, but I didn't dig my rulebook out, so I'm not entirely sure where it is.
Oh, okay. I will use my Google Foo. Languages in D&D.
Good old Google Foo.
Good old Google Foo.
Just uploaded some also to Discord.
Oh, awesome.
Cool. looking down through just to see what might be.
Yep. So, like I told Jessica, Undercommon is not going to come up in the game. There is no...
There is no drop.
Right.
You said there were 2?
You get to choose 2. Languages or tools.
What kinds of tools?
Alchemist supplies, artisan tools, cartographer tools, disguise kit, forgery kit, gaming kit, herbalism kit, a musical instrument of some sort, navigator tools, thieves tools, land vehicles, i.e. Wagons and carts and chariots, or water vehicles.
Did anyone choose any herbalism tools? I don't want to like double up on something.
Yeah, druids I think by default get them.
Okay. I won't bother with that. That was the only one that came up, really. Draconic's probably not going to come up, correct?
Draconic might very well come up in a game called Odyssey of the Dragonlords.
I suppose that's true, too.
Waka waka.
I will take Draconic.
So yeah, it would be like an old language, so it's kind of like somebody studying Latin nowadays.
Exactly. It was something ritual, like, taught to me for some ritualistic reason at the temple.
Correct.
And I think I'm going to follow the wisdom goddess,
Okay.
whose name I cannot recall. But the tools didn't really... Nothing grabbed me, other than the herbalism. But if we've already got it, I'm not going to worry about it. Huh.
So yes. So Valis, the goddess of wisdom and beauty.
Yes.
So like partial Athena, partial Aphrodite type of goddess.
Yes. Yep.
All right, chainmail bikini for the Minotaur.
Don't even think about it. So not happening. First off, I'm not a fighter.
I totally picture the Minotaur just walking up to everybody in like white robes and...
Exactly. I'll have a flower crown.
Yeah, maybe a holy
brass
symbol
crown
made
or
of like
something.
ivory or something.
You know, something entirely... I think she's going to dress all in white all the time. Which means that, yes, she is going to look absolutely filthy about an hour into her day, every day.
Hey, Nita,
Yes.
go onto YouTube and type in green jelly, obey the cow god.
Afraid to.
I would also be afraid to.
Are we likely to run into deep speech?
Probably not, for the same reason that there's no Undercommon. There's just not a thriving underground community because that's where Lutheria tends to live.
Right.
Well, there'd be lots for her slave.
True.
The chant would have to live somewhere.
So I already have Abyssal. We have someone with Infernal, don't we?
No.
Oh, I'll take Infernal then.
Okay.
I thought Josh had Infernal.
I thought so too.
No.
Oh,
Mine's Abyssal.
Oh.
I have Abyssal as well. We can have secret conversations over the campfire and sound all growly and snarly and dangerous.
So neither of the clericy people have Celestial? That's funny.
No, but both of the clericy type people have Abyssal.
Read into that what you will.
This is fine, nothing to see here.
I thought he had taken Celestial. Oh, dear, dear. Yeah, we'll be fine.
So would you like to have a prayer book or a prayer wheel?
The difference being?
One is a book and one is a wheel. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what a prayer wheel is without looking it up on Google, so.
I will do that, because I think it's just like a little shakery thing.
I think so.
A cylindrical wheel or spindle made from metal, wood, stone. I think she will have...
Since like iron and stuff isn't common in the world, it would probably be made out of like brass and bronze and those sort of metals, those sort of copper-based metals.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that, like the first couple that come up anyway when I search for it, is like a wooden handle with a brass ring. Kind of like a larger brass ring around the top that has like the prayer inscribed around it.
Cool.
I think she will take a prayer wheel, just to be different. Nobody ever takes a prayer wheel, do they?
Not that I'm aware of.
I will totally take it.
Alright, so that's backgrounds. Classes. Druid. First level Druid.
That's me.
Alright, so you get to choose 2 skills. The only skills on this list that you do not currently have are Arcana and Insight.
So I think whenever you're looking at my sheet the first time,
Yeah.
Chris,
Oh, you
I
are?
might have accidentally clicked them off, so they were already on there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Never mind then. For starting equipment, would you like to have a shield or another weapon of your choice?
Wooden shield, please.
Okay. Would you like to have a scimitar or a different weapon of your choice?
Scimitar.
Okay. And you can start with leather armor, an explorer's pack, and a druidic focus. We will automatically populate your spell book. We will... you are not circle of the land. Prepared spell mass toggler. Toggle them all off. Alrighty. And do you have a copy of the player's handbook there, Josh?
I do.
Perfect. You do get to pick your cantrips.
Cool.
As a first level druid, you start with 2 known cantrips. So, if you have an idea what you want those to be, I can drop them onto your character sheet.
So, I'll find them and I'll let you know.
Okay. Or if you just want to make note of them, and I will circle back.
Okay, that works.
Okay. Anita is going to be a cleric.
Yep, indeed.
And knowledge domain. So, of the following 3 skills, which 2 would you like to learn? History, insight, or persuasion?
History?
Okay.
And insight.
Okay.
You said 2, right?
Yep.
Excellent.
For standard starting equipment, would you like to start with a mace or a warhammer?
Mace.
Okay. Scale mail, leather armor, or chain mail? I don't think there's much functional difference between scale and chain.
Chain.
Okay.
Not bikini.
Okay. Would you like to have a light crossbow, which in this setting is a fairly rare weapon? Or would you like to choose another weapon?
No, Crossbow sounds fun.
Okay. Would you like to have a priest's pack or an explorer's pack? The priest pack is going to include the priest pack is going to include like candles, an alms box, some incense, a censer, your vestments, some rations, and a water skin. Whereas the explorer's pack is more, I'm going into a dungeon. Here's my 50 feet of rope. Here's my water skin. Here's my torches.
Oh,
Priest pack. Okay.
Priest pack, definitely.
Okay. We will auto-populate the spell book in there.
I'm already thinking of lots of jokes about milking the cleric.
I will stomp you.
Hey. Since you are worshipping Valis, you get training in yet another skill. You can choose one skill between Arcana and Nature.
What is Arcana?
Arcana is the study of arcane forces, magical effects that do not emanate from the gods.
Sounds creepy. We have a druid who theoretically has, or will have nature, right? Yes? Josh?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. I will take Arcana then. I will be the weirdly nerdy one.
Okay. Alright. Because of your blessing of knowledge from Valis, you also get training in 2 more languages.
Jeebus.
Okay.
Okay, now I will take whatever the heavenly one, Celestial.
Okay.
God, I'm gonna choose another one?
Yep.
Now we can be secret conversation buddies.
Yeah. And incidentally, because it's this is a blessing from your goddess of knowledge and wisdom, this includes otherwise languages you wouldn't normally be able to know, so this would include like Druidic or Thieves' Cant as well. She is the goddess of knowledge.
It's true.
Probably take Thieves' Cant, and then you can convert all of the ne'er-do-wells.
There's nothing... Is Primordial thing?
Primordial's the thing, yes.
I will take Primordial.
The 4 different elements and elementals therein are a core part of some of the tenets of some of the religions.
Excellent. I will definitely take Primordial then.
Okay. And you will have to, much like the druid, you will have to pick your cantrips. But I can go over that with you later and then add them onto your character sheet.
Sure. Do you have, yeah. I'll add it in the Discord.
Okay. Right. Deacon, as a
I can get my Discord to type a little faster.
As a fighter, you get to choose 2 skills from acrobatics, animal handling, history, insight, intimidation, and survival as a fighter. Oh, are you there, Jeff?
Yeah. Is
Okay.
that for me?
Yes. So you get to choose 2 skills from acrobatics, animal handling, history, insight, intimidation, or survival.
Oy. 2. Well, I'll take acrobatic.
Okay.
And shit balls. I think I'll take history.
Okay. Right. Would you like to start with chainmail or leather armor and a bow?
Chainmail.
Okay. And what sort of primary weapon would you like to use? Probably a spear?
Yep.
A spear makes sense.
That short sword there is the secondary.
Okay, gotcha.
Xanthi or whatever it's called.
Yep. Okay. Why is spear not on my list? All right, I will have to add spear on later. But you do get you get a choice of a third weapon. Fighters start with a bunch of weapons.
Yeah, wasn't there a longsword type too that was in that list of Greek ones?
Yes, there is. The Zepos, the long or the short? I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take the long and short sword combination of those two.
Okay. Would you like to have a light crossbow or a couple of hand axes for throwing at people? The hand axes have less range, but use your strength to hit and damage.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Would you like to have a Dungeoneer pack, which is like a backpack, crowbar, hammer, pitons, rations, rope, or an Explorer's pack, which is torches, mess kit, bedroll, backpack, rope?
Explore.
Okay. Fighting style, since you're a fighter, these are things that will give you bonuses when you do specific things. So like archery gives you a bonus with ranged weapons. Defense increases your armor class by 1. Dueling is if you have a weapon in one hand and no other weapon out, you do +2 damage. Great weapon fighting is for two-handed. Protection, it lets you use your shield when somebody's near you, but you'll be able to do that as a hoplite later anyway. And 2-weapon fighting, which is fighting with a weapon in each hand.
I think...
I will point out, as somebody who's played like a ton of fighters in 5th edition, dueling is like if you have a weapon in one hand, your other hand can hold your shield still because it's not considered a weapon, and you get the +2 damage on the weapon that you are wielding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, that sounds good. I'll take that.
Yeah. If you're going sword and board and you don't take protection, it's the next best option.
Sounds good.
All right. Arathius. Since you are going Warlock of the Fates, you get to choose 2 skills out of History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, or Religion. But I think you already chose those. Yeah. Perfect. Would you like to have a light crossbow or another weapon?
I think I'd prefer another weapon.
Okay. So what sort of simple weapon would you like? Club, dagger, great club, hand axe, hammer, mace, quarterstaff?
Quarterstaff.
Buck and a quarterstaff. Would you like to have a component pouch or an arcane focus? They both serve the same purpose. They're, instead of like, I need to have my bat guano and my copper rod, you just have the items you need to cast spells, as long as they don't have a gold piece cost.
Yeah, I'll take a focus since it's the same thing short of the expensive stuff.
Yeah, and you can decide what your arcane focus is. Probably something tied to the fate, so it could even be like a very fancy like skein of thread, or like the eye of a creature or something. Would you like to have a Scholar's Pack or a Dungeoneer's Pack? The Dungeoneer Pack is all the stuff for going into a dungeon. The Scholar's Pack is a backpack, a book of lore, bottle of ink, parchment. Okay. And then you start with leather armor, another simple weapon of your choice. So would you like to have like daggers that you could throw at somebody, or a sling, or dagger? Dagger. All right. And I assume you have a copy of the player's handbook, so you can figure out what you want to take for your cantrips and your spells, and just message me, and
Don't actually, but I do know I'm taking Eldritch Blast at least.
yeah, Eldritch Blast is pretty much a given for a warlock.
You can't really Warlock without it.
Right. So yeah, so you'll get 2 cantrips, so Eldritch Blast and another one, and you'll also have 2 spells that you know from the Warlock list, and then you have 2 that are added because of your patron. So you'll be able to choose from those options as well, which I believe is... where's my Warlock?
Just
Warlock.
sent it via Discord.
Perfect. So Detect Evil and Good and Identify will also be on the Warlock spell list for you. So if you do a Google search for the D&D SRD, the Warlock spell should be there, and then you can take a look and just let me know which ones you want to take.
Yeah, I'll post that in Discord after the video.
Perfect. Okay. And that believes, I think we have just Helena left. Helena the Bard.
The epic bard.
Okay. Hit points. So you get to choose 3 skills that you would like training in as a bard.
Performance is probably a good idea.
Performance is probably a good idea.
Persuasion and deception are also probably a good idea.
They are kind of the bard triumvirate.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
I need to lie my way out of things.
Alright. So would you like to have like it wouldn't be a rapier in this setting, it would be like the short sword, or would you like a long sword, or would you like a different weapon?
I would probably go with maybe a bow of some kind, if that's possible.
You could get a light crossbow.
Yeah, and can I use my dex for that?
Yes.
Okay. I will probably take a light crossbow then.
Okay. Would you like a diplomat's pack, which is like a chest, a couple of cases of maps and scrolls, some really nice clothing, some ink, a lamp, paper, vial of perfume? Or would you like the entertainer's pack, which is a backpack, bedroll, a couple of costumes, some candles, some rations, a water skin, and a disguise kit?
I'm just debating whether she would have stolen the diplomat's pack or she would have.
Yoink,
gotten
this
the
is mine.
entertainer's pack. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she probably would have stolen the diplomat's pack.
Okay. Alright.
So we'll go with the diplomat's pack.
For a musical instrument, would you like a lute or would you like something else? Like a lyre or pan flute or a flute.
Let's go with the lyre. Lyre.
Okay.
How do you pronounce that? Yeah.
Okay.
A guitar-like thing fits the whole emo vibe better, I think.
Definitely. Alright. And then as a bard, you will start with 2 cantrips that you can choose and 4 first level spells.
Yes.
So if you want to maybe get together with Josh there, and you can pick those out and just send them to me on Discord, and I'll add them onto your character sheet.
Yeah, I actually bought cards.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So I will go through the cards here in a minute.
Okay. Alrighty. So the only thing left to choose for your characters is an epic path. This is your destiny. This is a thing that you are born for. The trick with epic destinies is nobody can choose the same one. They all have story repercussions. They all have elements that tie into the fate of the entire world. And they all have a very clear... it's like a very clear path to the destiny. You're not going to be wandering around aimlessly going like, oh, I got this destiny, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a world that believes very strongly in destiny, predestination, and prophecy, and those will all play into the epic destinies. Okay, perfect. All right, so I got Bee's and Josh's spells there, so I will put those onto the character sheets at a later point before the game. So, if one of these sounds interesting to you, just by all means, kind of call out and say, I claim that one.
Rule of Yoink, doomed.
Okay. So,
Wow.
so the doomed one is claimed. So yes, so you come from a famous and distinguished family with ancestors that include the Dragonlords and gods, but you had the misfortune of being born under a fell astrological sign, one that portended doom of epic proportions. Your parents died shortly after you were born, of mysterious circumstances. All right, so that leaves. This is in the Odyssey Player's Guide.
Yes, around 23.
Yeah, around there.
Okay.
So one of the options is the cursed one. You come from a great family or tribe that has been cursed for centuries owing to the actions of one of your distant ancestors who angered the Titans. Whatever the nature of your curse, the stigma has haunted you all your life. Wherever you go, you are shunned by the ignorant and the superstitious. As a result, you have felt like an outsider for all of your life.
Sure, that sounds fun if nobody else wants it. So, super emo. Go with it.
Alright.
Cursed.
A real good reason to be emo.
Yeah,
So
might as well, right?
Well, if you're cursed, you're cursed.
The gods really really hate me.
Okay.
Maybe I should stop calling them Dick.
The demigod, mortal child of Pythor, the god of battle. Your temper is legendary. From early age, you demonstrated a natural talent in everything that interested you. You've never met your father, but your mother was a woman famed for both her beauty and her skill as a harpist. She was carried away by a green dragon when you were very young. Family of soldiers adopted you and then raised you to be a mighty champion in the city. Again, if this doesn't fit what you already have in mind for a background, it can be changed. But you were a favorite child of the city, and bards already sing of your great deeds while traveling the Heartlands.
That is really tempting. Going into that whole...
Take it.
Well, it's going into that whole, you know, the rare white bull type idea.
Mm.
Don't. I'll take the demigod. The god of battle, maybe.
Actually, for story reasons, you are the child of the god of battle. You may not necessarily know it, and you've never met him.
Right.
The Dragon Slayer. You have a tragic past. Something terrible happened to you when you were young and forced you to reckon with the darkness within much sooner than anyone should ever have to. You know that it was a dragon who was responsible for destroying your childhood. The dragon might have razed your village to the ground, might have ruined your life in more insidious ways while polymorphed into the shape of a human. Either way, you wish to discover the identity and the location of the dragon so you can seek it out and extract brutal vengeance upon it. The Gifted One. Ever since you were a child, you've shown remarkable promise, effortlessly mastering every activity you attempted. You have no explanation, but most people assume you just have divine blood flowing through your veins. As you're from a common or barbarian family, you've been the target of seething envy from the children of nobility and the wealthy who believe you do not deserve your gifts. You therefore spent much of your life proving your worth. You want to achieve fame and fortune and have your name remembered down the ages. Mostly, you want to become a Dragonlord. If you can find a dragon age and successfully hatch it, you could join the list of legendary heroes that are still remembered 5 centuries later. The Haunted One. You were once in possession of the rarest treasure in Thylia, a truly happy life. You had a loving partner, beautiful children, and lived a great house in the city of Mitros. As the first child of a powerful family with godly lineage, you were destined to be the next ruler of Mitros. Then one day, everything changed. You returned home to find your house cold and empty. Your friends and neighbors have no memory of your family. Almost as if they never existed. For a while, you struggled against insanity. Now you've resolved to find your family, whatever the cost. You'll travel to the ends of the earth and fight the gods themselves if needed. You'll do whatever it takes to bring back the people you love, even if everyone thinks you're crazy.
I'll take that one.
All right.
That intrigued me when I was looking through the list.
Okay. Okay. So, I think that leaves only B to choose one there. So, have you looked at the epic paths at all, B?
Yeah, I was going to chime in that I was thinking I'll take Dragon Slayer because it seems like an interesting and appealing character. But you start reading the next one, so I'm going to let you go.
Okay, perfect. So Dragon Slayer. Alrighty.
It just kind of thematically also matches like my initial starting buildings, like Hellish Rebuke, because I've learned that next time you're going to burn things.
Yeah, and it would explain why you've turned to such a dark entity as the Fates to...
Yeah.
Perfect. Alrighty. So, that is the mechanical part of character building done. So the only thing really left to do at this point is to come up with 3 rumors about your character, 3 things that people have heard, at least one of which has to be true.
Do you want those here, or do you want those sent to you?
You can send those to me, and then that way I will randomly, because at the start of the first actual game, I will randomly seed them out to the other players. So, Jeff's character may know one rumor about Josh's character, one about Anita's character, and one about your character. One of which is maybe true. So, if you want all 3 of your rumors to be true, totally valid. The only restriction is at least one must be true. But are there any questions up to this point?
I just need a list of cantrips, apparently, to choose
Okay.
from.
Right, cleric cantrips.
Is there somewhere on the...
Okay. There is actually 1, 2, 3, 4... There's 7 to choose from.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it in a way you can cut and paste it into the Discord? I just figured that'd be quicker.
Maybe.
And I'd remember it easier.
Okay. There we go.
Thank you.
And of those, you get to choose 3.
Okay. Is there, yeah, I don't, I recognize some of them,
Okay.
but
Okay. So guidance. You touch somebody, and then within the next minute, an ability check of their choice, they get to add a D4 to. Light.
yeah, I've seen guidance.
Yeah, light creates light.
Okay.
Mending repairs things. They can't. They have to be within a certain size parameter, and they have to be still mostly intact. But it's a repair thing. Resistance is like guidance, but it applies to saving throws. So the next saving throw somebody makes within a minute. Sacred Flame burns somebody with radiant damage. Spare the dying is if somebody is dying, you cast it on them and they no longer have to make death saves. They automatically stabilize.
Okay.
And Thaumaturgy is for a lot of the kind of like special effects type things. You've watched Critical Role, you've seen Jester and Caduceus both use it.
For cantrips, there's the option of picking up more later on, correct?
At certain levels, you will get some more.
Okay, but is it like limited to, you can only know these, as you said it was what, 2?
You start with 3 of these.
Oh, so am I limited to only ever knowing 3 0-level cantrips?
No, at what level? When you get to 4th level, you'll learn another one. When you get to 10th level, you'll learn another one. So you can learn up to 5.
Yeah.
And most of the clerical cantrips are more utilitarian than attack.
If it helps any, I did pick up guidance.
Excellent.
And I snatched light.
Alright, I'll take Mending Sacred Flame and Spare the Dying.
Okay, perfect.
I had to take Vicious Mockery. That's basically the bard requirement.
Yeah, and it's
Defeating your enemies by making them feel bad and turn around and go home.
That's what I do. That's what. Actually, it's really funny.
We demoralize them. I love it.
Vicious Mockery. It's like it's funny. The damage is shit. But disadvantage on the attack is awesome, and when you finally kill something with it, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you can get that last little bit of damage in with the Vicious Mockery, and then they just drop dead from your insults.
Yeah. I played a bard in my buddy Don's game, and the first time I insulted somebody to death, it was fun.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Chris, silly question. What was the one-eyed monster things again?
Cyclops.
Specifically thematic. I think they had like extra arms or something like that. It's part of the weird races that was on Thelia.
Oh, there's the Gigans.
Gigans, thank you.
That's probably them. They used to be like a very large kind of expansive race. But their empire went into decline a couple hundred years ago. But yeah, they're a type of Cyclops.
Cool.
They are actually. Here's my bestiary. For those of you that are not playing clerics, at 2nd level, Josh, is when you'll get to choose kind of what form of druid you want to be, what circle you want to dedicate yourself to.
Oh yeah, sacrifice. I've been looking at it.
The sacrifice one is pretty sweet.
Yep.
And For
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, for fighter and bard at 3rd level is when you kind of pick your area of specialty. So whatever bardic college or whatever fighter archetype. So that's when you would truly become a hoplite, is at 3rd level.
Yeah, I was gonna say the bardic college is thematically chosen. Also, the College of Epic Poetry.
Yeah, the archetypes that they have in the book are pretty solid.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of weak sauce. The cleric domain that they give you, the domain of prophecy, is kind of meh. But the other ones, the hoplite is a good solid defensive type fighter. And the Odyssean rogue I like a lot because it's a rogue that relies more upon their wits than the stabby. And the Circle of Sacrifice is probably like my favorite druidic circle. It's so well defined thematically with sacrificing things to get boons from the gods and everything.
Yep.
But other than character rumors, that's pretty much it for the session 0, unless people have questions and stuff.
If I understand the epic poetry stuff, the bigger my poet gets, the more, like, thematically, the more she writes in her poem, the more things I get. Is that my understanding?
Yes, basically, as your poem gets more and more epic, as it gets more verses added to it, your bardic inspiration becomes better.
Yeah.
We'll slowly build up a real filibuster.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's literally supposed to be writing the Odyssey, I guess.
Yeah. So like when you get to 6 verses, for example, then your bardic inspiration, when somebody uses it, has a minimum value of 2.
Cool.
When you get to 12 verses, if somebody has bardic inspiration and hasn't used it, they get a passive benefit from having it. In which case, at that level, it's advantage on saves
Epic
against
courage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so the
my verses require you guys to be interesting.
Yes.
So be interesting.
No pressure.
Yeah, just so the party is aware how she would add verses to her epic poem, and her epic poem is about the group of you, about the group of heroes. A verse could be comedic, which is if somebody rolls a natural 1 on an attacker saving throw, she gets to add a verse to the poem explaining that happenstance. Yes. Yeah. If somebody rolls a natural 20 on an attacker saving throw, then there's an epic portion to it. If somebody fails a saving throw after using bardic inspiration on the saving throw, she gets to add a verse about the irony of the situation. And
that helping you still fucked up.
Yes. And if somebody is reduced to 0 hit points, then she gets to write a tragic verse. But yeah, the more verses that she collects over time, the stronger her bardic inspiration gets.
It'll be interesting, and I'm more helpful.
I'll keep that in mind.
I'll do my best to roll those nat ones.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
have that.
Yeah, at a certain level, she also gets to give you guys epithets. Basically, she gets to add names to you. So when she does so, if you would drop to 0 and you have bardic inspiration, you can roll the bardic inspiration, and you have that many hit points instead of 0.
Nice.
So eventually, I get to make you more interesting.
So yes, as she's
trying to live up to my phrase in the poem.
That's exactly it.
Trying
Like
to live up to my verse.
Yeah.
Question for you. Under components.
Yep.
V, S, and M.
Verbal, somatic, and material. As a cleric, and actually this would go for the druidic focus and the arcane focus as well for the warlock. Any component that does not have a specific gold piece cost to it can be used either with your holy symbol, your druidic focus, or your arcane focus. So it's just thematic to go shopping for the components. You don't actually need to have them written on your character sheet. But if you have a spell that's like, you need to have a vial of holy water worth 25 gold that the spell consumes, then you need to have that specific component. Somatic components require you to have at least one hand free. And verbal components obviously require you to be able to speak.
Yeah, I have to be able to talk to insult somebody to death.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't just give them the finger.
I can try.
As enthusiastic as you might be, you still have to be able to. They have to hear the scorn in your voice.
Yeah. It's all about the tone and delivery. It's about using the mom voice.
All right. Since we're doing session 0, something you may notice on your character sheet, when it comes to die rolling, if you mouse over any of your attributes on the main sheet, it will make that roll for you. It'll just automatically pop it into the chat. So,
when I click on strength, it says, "Do you want to make an ability check or a saving throw?"
Correct.
Excellent. I like that. That's much better than me trying to remember.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do the pop-up, you'll notice if you mouse over the 2 bonuses, mod and save, you can roll just the one automatically.
I like that.
On your inventory tab will be all of your gear. Anything that is highlighted green is something that is equipped. If you want to equip or unequip, just right-click. And I have it set so it will automatically roll your attack and your damage at the same time, and if you crit, it'll roll the crit damage as well. For Jeff's character, I'll just have to go in and modify the crit for your spear because of the piercer talent.
Sounds good.
Anything that you have, like if you have a crossbow, it will automatically take bolts out of your inventory. And if you don't have any bolts in your inventory, it'll tell you you do not have enough ammunition to fire.
Ooh, cool.
Do I have a staff and dagger automatically?
Yes.
Cool. I didn't know I had extra weapons. I just thought I had the crossbow.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. For the druid and the cleric player.
Yes.
On your spell book will be the list of all of the spells, because you have access to all of the druid spells or all of the cleric spells of first level.
Okay.
You are only allowed to prepare a certain number, which is your wisdom modifier plus your level. So, for example, for Anita, for your character, you can prepare 3 spells.
Right.
But you'll notice as you mouse down your spell list, command and identify are automatically prepared for you every day because of your goddess. And they do not count against those 3.
Okay, so they show up at the bottom. They don't count against those 3?
They do not.
Nice. Okay. And cantrips don't take.
Cantrips do not take preparation or spell slots.
Ooh, I now need to look up what each of these things does.
Yep. And if you if you just mouse over the spell, it'll pull up the description of the spell.
Yeah, it's off my screen.
Oh. Okay.
So
Yes.
I have a question.
Yep.
Our features, as we level, will they be automatically added in?
Yes.
Cool. That is super convenient.
So, just to confirm again, it's how many prepared per day?
You get to prepare a number equal to your druid level plus your wisdom modifier.
Okay. So... Alright, so 4.
Okay.
Yeah, if you click on it, it'll tell you which component you need, like a drop of blood.
Yep. And like I said, you can use your holy focus, but those are great, like little role-playing tints. Like if you want to cast.
Like my prayer wheel is my holy focus. Yes.
Yes. But like if you want to cast bless, it's the component is a sprinkling of holy water. So if you want to play that into your description of casting the spell.
Yep.
And then if you right click on the spell, it'll give you an option to prepare the spell or unprepare a spell.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, I'm like going down through and clicking on them to see what they do, and it's just opening more and more.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. And when you get to higher level and you have like a shitload of spells, there is actually a mass prepare feature. So it'll just pull up a list and you can just check the boxes for the ones you want to prepare and hit update, and it'll change your whole list for you.
handy.
It's really handy when you've got like 20 some spells to prepare.
Question, Chris.
Yep.
In relation to weapons that are finesse, how do you flag your weapon being either strength modifier or dex modifier?
Okay, so let me find your character sheet here. Your inventory. Scimitar is finesse, correct?
Yeah. I want
Okay.
you to use the strength, not the dex. Because
Yep.
my strength's higher than my dex.
Yep. So if you go to edit item,
Okay.
and I think it is using your dex actually. So if you edit the item, and then go to details,
Okay.
and then you'll see a crapload of checkboxes for like adamantine, ammunition, finesse, firearm, focus, heavy, light,
Yep.
etc., etc. Just make sure finesse is clicked.
Yep.
And it should like highlight green when it's ready, and then it will use the higher of your dexterity or strength as the default.
Cool. Okay. Awesome.
You know, if you specifically for whatever reason decide that you want your scimitar to use dexterity, we can definitely put that in. But finesse weapons by default use whatever is best for you.
Cool. That's what I figured, but I wanted to make sure.
And if you have any questions, like if you mouse over any of your or click on any of your features, it'll tell you what they do.
Cool.
And I think I wrote in like the entire for each of the epic paths, I wrote in kind of like what sort of things you're going to need to do to complete your path. So you can have a chance to read through those.
Yeah, mine's a big item hunt.
Yes. And it is designed in such a way that those items are not going to be super... They're not designed so like, oh, I've got to do this thing, but I also have to travel all the way across the world to do a thing. They are all basically coded into the story to be not terribly out of the way.
So, just so I understand, the blessing, or the divine blessing, that only kicks in after you complete your heroic task?
Correct. Once you've completed your heroic path, you get a blessing from the gods.
Cool. Okay.
So yes, the Wanderer feature is pretty great for when you're moving around, especially where you've got two people with it. It means you don't really have to worry about survival checks or anything when you're wandering. The part of it that I always found really handy was being able to kind of automatically find your way around places you've already been. All right. Are there any other questions?
No, I think my character's fairly clear.
Okay.
Are there any specific symbols for Are particular deities?
There are no cowbell.
Oh.
Okay.
Drowning you. I'm going to create water just so I can.
So the symbol for Valis, the goddess of wisdom, is a golden laurel wreath with 5 stars.
Excellent.
And she is one of the few. Actually, most of the 5 gods are good, just of different varieties of good. Whereas the Titans, being natural elements, tend to be more along the neutral or evil axis. So golden laurel with 5 stars. And Josh, does your druid actually follow any of the gods or Titans, or just a more general nature thing?
Just Talia.
Okay. So her symbol is an eternal golden ash tree.
Okay.
And mythologically speaking, it's believed by everyone that she essentially gave her life to become the land. So every piece of land is a part of her. She's like the kind of the Gaia or the Earth Mother type of goddess, or Titan in this case. And she is the mother of all of the other Titans, including not Kentamane, who's her husband, but of Sidon and Lutheria and any minor Titans and stuff. She is the mother of all of them.
So she literally is Gaia in this setting.
Yes. And she is generally guarded as protective of not just her Titan children, but also it's generally assumed that the various mortals and beings that live within or on the land are her children as well, and she's generally regarded as a protective type of goddess.
Lanala.
Yes, the Lanala from Torg Eternity. Any of those kind of Earth Mother type of ideas are present in her. So of the Titans, she's generally regarded as being beneficial. She's not regarded as interacting directly with people, but in a very druidic sense. Like if there's a long winter, it means that she's displeased. If there's like an early spring thaw, then she's obviously happy with how things are. That sort of thing. There's a lot of reading into the symbology of the seasons and stuff in regards to her worship.
So she hates the Maritimes. Gotcha.
She is not a fan of the Maritimes.
So yeah, Chris, I just uploaded mine to my rumors to the journal.
Okay, perfect. Yes, if folks want to do that, they certainly can. And then the journals, basically the only people that can see journal entries unless you change permissions are you and me. So you don't have to worry about somebody else going in and see like what sort of juicy secrets or anything you have. And then I will randomly generate who has heard what rumors about what person. But other than that, I think...
Is it only the rumors you need? Do you need the rest of the sheet?
The rest of the sheet I have access to automatically.
No, I meant the rest of the questions that you sent.
If people want to go over those questions, feel free. And it's kind of like, just so I have an idea as to like what sort of game you're looking for. Obviously, with this group, I'm not expecting you guys to be all murder hobo-y. But if you want to, if you want to play up like the political intrigues between two of the 3 major cities, or if you're interested in the lore of the land or that sort of thing, it just gives me an idea as to what direction I can take the story in. I mean, there is a very clear story path. It is a pre-written published adventure. It's a really good one if you're familiar with, I hate to use the term old school because they're not that old, but some of the folks that were involved in this, some of the main creative folks were people that were involved in early BioWare games, So the folks that were responsible for Knights of the Old Republic and Baldur's Gate and Dragon Age Origins are the creative minds behind this this campaign. And it's got the same sort of multi-level branching story that you would expect from those sort of things. So there is a very clear story path, so you guys should not be left floundering with like, oh, I don't know what we're supposed to do. But at the same time, it is open enough, and with the epic paths, if you're like, you know, my character needs to go do this thing, are you guys going to come with me? Is definitely an option. And then there's also NPCs and side quests and points of interest, and there should be no lack of things to do or to want to do.
Yay, plot cookies.
There are so many plot cookies, and the nice thing about it is they're not nebulous.
Yeah.
They're very clearly written out. Like at the start of the game, and that's something else that actually we should figure out, is at the start of the game there has been this call that has gone out about the vision that the Oracle has had about, you know, the time of the end of the Oath of Peace is coming to an end, and heroes are needed as the Titans, you know, unleash their wrath upon Thylea. And you guys have all journeyed to a... let me pull up my notes. You guys have all journeyed to a small inn on the outskirts of the city of Astoria. So on the map, Astoria is kind of central, just south of the Greater Steppes. You'll see the city of Astoria. And this little inn on the, about 20 miles outside of it is the where the Oracle, where the call is. There's a young bard that has been spreading the word around, named Kyra, who is asking for heroes, potential heroes, want to be heroes, that sort of thing, to meet at an inn or a taverna called the Sour Vintage. And that, as
so nobody drink the wine then.
No, it does not sound tasty.
It's perhaps a little bit vinegary.
A little.
But they go through a lot of it because it's served at every meal.
Ew. Where did you say that we could make notes that other people can't read?
On Foundry, the journal tab, the one that looks like a little piece of papyrus. You should have an office for create entry.
Okay.
Mine are up there, Chris.
Yep, got them.
Put my 3 rumors into the entries as well, the journals.
Okay. The only one that I'm seeing is Helena's.
Oh, I put mine right into the page.
Okay, so it asks for, when you create a new journal entry, it asks for a name and it asks for a full.
I didn't put mine in a folder, I just left it as is.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm... So yeah, I've got Jessica's and Josh's and Anita's in the process, but I don't see yours, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm not doing
I originally, I think, did mine like Jeff did, where he put it underneath the character sheet. There's a journal tab in there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's where mine was.
Okay. No, I'm not seeing them there either. They may not have saved.
Yeah, you have to click the actual save. There's a save button in Foundry on that tab.
Yeah.
I didn't try using it yet, but under the demigod,
Yep.
it says your temper is legendary.
Yep.
Does
You
it
are a
have to
minotaur.
does it have to be in a bad way?
I would say in this case, given the fact that you're a minotaur, it's probably more legendary that you don't have a temper.
Perfect.
Like it's basically, you know, your temper is extreme. So either, you know, kind of like extreme aggression, or it could even be extreme non-temper in your case.
Depends on if you wave a red flag in front of her.
Excellent.
Yeah. That is,
I like the idea of not losing your temper.
yeah.
It's like almost perfect control.
Yeah.
That whole clerically wisdom following type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, it ate them.
Yeah, sometimes if you don't specifically save, it'll be like, "What? I had no typing there. What are you talking about?" Tell me about it. I was in the process of writing up like an entire adventure in my Friday Night D&D game, and it didn't save for me.
That's why anything important, you type it in Notepad first.
Yes.
That way you still have it in Notepad.
So true.
I suppose we have 5. I was just reading something in the epic poetry stuff. The verse counts are based on party size.
Yes.
So if you have less than 6 members in your party, the required verse counts are reduced.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's they tell you the formula for how to figure out how many that you need.
Yeah, it's multiply your party size by poem rank. So for rank 1, I would only need 5. Rank 2, I would only need 10, etc.
etc. etc. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like the fact that they give you multiple ways to get the verses, so it's not like a slog to get there.
Yeah, you're not stuck.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've had some games where that, you know, somebody rolling a natural 1 would net you like 5 or 6 verses in one session.
Yeah. I've had games like those also.
Yes. The dice giveth and the dice taketh away.
We played a game with a friend of ours, and her dice rolls were so bad that we had to make her paladin and anti-paladin just so she would stop rolling that ones.
Ouch.
Yeah.
She rolled so many nat ones that we were like, okay, we're gonna make you an anti-paladin and just flip the dice for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we just basically homebrewed it and said, okay, 20s are 1s and 1s are 20s.
But only as long as you're delusional.
That's downright painful.
I tend to roll so bad that I was rolling a d20, like it was a d10, but it had 20 sides on it. It went 1 to 10 twice. And my dice rolls are traditionally so bad, I didn't notice. I noticed that I was rolling, like, you know, average more often than not, but I didn't notice I was rolling particularly bad, even though I only had half the numbers available.
That's funny.
So, alrighty. So with that, I think we will call it there. We have characters done. You guys know where you're headed for the first time. You have a chance to read over your epic paths, and I will get the cantrips and the spells added in for folks for the first game, which will be in 2 weeks. As you guys will start this epic journey to see if you are in fact the heroes of prophecy or not.
We're not, but we're gonna make everybody think we are.
You're gonna do your best.
That'll be on the 13th.
I believe so.
Next week is the 6th.
Yes, 13th.
Yes.
That would be Forgotten Realms.
Forbidden.
Forgotten Realms next week, and then
Yep.
13th.
Yep. Forbidden Lands next week. So if anybody is watching and wants a different flavor of fantasy, we do stream a Forbidden Lands game on the Sunday opposite this Sunday.
I'm not nice in that game either.
I don't
No.
know if he's planning on streaming a Star Trek game that afternoon or not.
There, Chris, did the journal entry show up?
Journal entries. PCs. Yes. Yes, I have them there. Perfect.
Yay for the save button.
That's right. Perfect. So yeah, so I will randomly distribute the rumors to everybody. So what I will probably do is I will put a section under the journal tab that you'll be able to see, so you know what rumors you have heard about the others. So with 5 players, there's going to be 15 rumors. You don't get your own back, so you'll have a healthy section of what you've heard about some of the other people that are showing up to answer this this call from the Oracle. And honestly, I really like this idea of making rumors. I think it's be like a standard part of any game I was to run.
I found it good to help me get a feel of who the character is. You know, kind of what's led her to this point.
Yeah. I like the fact that they specify for fleshing out, and I like the idea that whatever these rumors are, at least one of them has to be true.
Yeah.
So I can imagine using this in like other games, like especially games that are heavily like interaction and story based. Like I can imagine like a vampire game where everybody seeds 3 rumors about their character, one of which is true, and so when you meet somebody, you have heard something about them, maybe.
Yeah, and then that gets people talking too. More, right. I find, because especially in a game like Vampire, if you're new and don't really know people, that's a hard game to like just go up and start talking to people, especially if you're overly introverted.
Yeah. Well, I like to. It gives you some like they're almost like icebreaker topics, right? Like when you guys are at the tavern and you see this this white minotaur who's going to stand out. You know, one of you is going to, or several of you maybe, will have heard something about this person, and now you're like, this thing that I heard, is this true? Does this match up with what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
So.
I imagine, you know, it's a, did you really? Like, kind of thing. All
right. But yes, we will call it there. We'll end a little bit early because it is just a session 0, and we're not going to get into an actual, you know, role play scenario or anything of that nature.
Yeah, good, because I'm still coming up with stuff about my character, like I don't know, a name.
In terms of names, I strongly suggest that you go to like a name generated website and look for Greek or Greek sounding names.
There are some suggestions in each of the player's hand guide under each of the races.
Exactly. And it just adds that kind of that level of buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have, and it means I have to make sure that I don't name any of like my taverna owners Bob. Or things of that nature.
It's really funny. Helena was under the generic like siren names, and I was like, that thematically fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked Deacon from a list of stuff that means one who serves.
Oh, it's a great name.
Fit.
Not.
Yeah, it fits fits perfectly with the character that you've presented so far.
Yeah.
Hey, Nina, we can call your character Bessie.
I will stomp you, and then I will gore you with my horns.
Maybe maybe the church didn't give your character a name. Maybe
No,
the church just called you the White Bull because you're some prophecy
Abomination.
sign omen.
She'll have a name. It may take me a bit to come up with one, but she'll have a name.
Bessia?
I will make you... I will just leave you sleeping on the couch. I won't bother waking you up when I go to bed.
But yes, we will meet here in 2 weeks to start things off as you guys are approaching the outer limits of the Sour Vintage Taverna, and we will go from there. I know folks are either brand new to D&D or brand new to 5th edition or have limited experience. So as we go through things, I will remind you of like how to make rolls, how to do initiative, all that as things come up. It's probably easier to do it as we go as opposed to rules dumping a bunch of stuff on you up front.
Yeah. Foundry does make that a touch easier.
It does. When you've got a game that's supported with some automation and everything, it makes things so much easier.
Yeah. I like that whole the spellbook selection and the being able to just click on strength and either mod or save.
Yep.
It's like that's terrific.
Yeah. The only downside with automation is sometimes it can go a little bit too far. There is a module for Foundry where you can have it so that you can target an enemy, and then when it rolls your attack, it'll compare your attack against their armor class, and it'll determine whether you hit or not, and then it will figure out the damage, and it will apply the damage to their hit points. And if you have to make a saving throw, it'll roll the saving throw for them. So it's literally like, that guy, I do this thing, and it does all the other math for you. And I'm like...
It's more like a video game, really.
Yeah, I'm like, at what point does it start edging into that territory?
True.
But at the other hand, if you're playing like a more complex game like Pathfinder or an older edition of D&D or something, that sort of automation means you don't have to worry about any of the modifiers as long as like all of the conditions are set and everything. So
Rollmaster could definitely use this.
Rollmaster could definitely use this. They did simplify Rollmaster with the newest edition that they tried to get off the ground, and as far as I know, it just vaporized.
What is Rollmaster? Out of curiosity.
Oh, it's an old game that is filled with numbers and tables and tables and numbers.
Oh,
That's
so
pretty much it, really. It's
Every
just
weapon has a
table
separate card.
Yes.
all the things that I like the least in D&D?
Yeah.
Probably yes.
Yeah.
Well, the critical tables are hilarious.
The critical tables are the best part of Rollmaster.
Yeah. I am not a math person.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Rollmaster uses
Well,
it's
heavy math, kind of, but it's mainly the DM that's the one involved with having to do everything. So the DM has to be really involved, but yeah, making a character is a pain in the ass until we found an automatic thing that would do it for you.
Yeah, for every stat you have like what your stat actually is, and then you have a potential stat as to how good it can be, and then every time you level up there's a chance that your stat actually increases a little bit until it gets to that potential.
And there is literally a skill for anything. You say, I want to do X. Well, there's a skill for it.
Huh.
That doesn't sound like something I would ever want to play, but
Yeah, it is its own. It is a lot of fun when you're sitting down at the table and playing it, and your game master enjoys the game. It is a lot of fun, but you have to go in knowing what you're getting into.
Yeah, it's like I said, like you get every separate weapon has its own weapons attack table. like it's nuts. So the DM has a ton of work. The player really just has to consider what's on his character sheet and go from there.
Yeah. But yeah, well, there's all the books that are in the main one, and then there's, I think they released a supplementary Arms Law too.
Wow.
Space Master.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that all of their books are named like Arms Law, Spells Law, so on and so forth. Like they're very like formal in their book naming. I did like that.
Arcane. I mean, they also generated a Space Master game. The two actual things are compatible, like when the elves were using plasma weapons.
Yeah. But yeah, they tried to do a new edition of it several years back, and it got to the playtesting stage, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if they tried to kickstart it and it didn't go anywhere or what. But for a while there, they because I signed up for the playtest and I got the playtest documents, but then everything just kind of disappeared.
Probably something that might have better success now as opposed to that long ago.
It's possible. Like this was like 4 or 5 years ago they tried this, I think. So.
Yeah, now that we're seeing like an RPG kind of revolution going on,
Yeah.
It'd be a better time.
I need the hobby to stick around long enough that I can get like an RPG historian, and then I'll be good.
You could become an RPG historian.
I could.
Lord knows you want enough of them.
You kids nowadays, you don't know how easy you've got it with your more than one set of dice, and you don't have to color the numbers yourself.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in
I've only
the
ever had like the plastic resin. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Pretty dice.
back
You got
in the day,
a
yes.
set of D&D dice, and they gave you a white crayon in the package with them.
Yeah, and then you colored in the dice.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You guys also got to remember, I'm only like 31, so.
Ouch.
Sorry.
Young people today.
And I'm just gonna have to whip my ass out of here.
I've been gaming longer. Well, most of us have been gaming longer than you've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
31 years ago, that's prime Blue Lounge time.
I don't know what that is.
The local university here
Oh, okay.
had a large room where all the gamers hung out. It was called the Blue Lounge because everything in it was blue. The carpet, the walls, the ceilings, the curtains, the furniture, everything
That's insane.
Yeah,
was blue. Various shades of blue.
Well, yeah, because when I'm saying I'm making a 2000s-esque emo
That's your child.
character, yes, I went through that whole teenage emo phase in the 2000s.
Yeah, in my era, it was more of a 90s goth thing.
Yeah.
era of
Never
grunt.
got-
I went through the Miami Vice phase, so
Thankfully, before I met you.
yeah, all of the pastels and deck shoes without socks and all of that.
Oh,
That's
wow.
right. Pastel colors, baby.
Yep,
Chip and pepper wetware.
that's right. What was the brand name at the time? Ocean Pacific, I think, was the logo that was on things.
No longer exist.
Yeah, all back in the day. Alrighty, so all right, so we will meet in 2 weeks. We will kick this off with our very oddly comprised D&D party with one fighter, no wizard, no sorcerer, a couple of acolytes from different churches,
No rogue.
a couple of outlanders that don't have much dealings with civilization really, and the soldier who's like,
I feel like I'm gonna be on the pointy end of the stick quite a bit.
I kind of like the fact that the Outlanders both have the most charisma. The Outlanders are the ones that are going to be talking.
yeah, the people who don't interact much with civilization are the charismatic ones. On the plus side for the fighter, though, with a bard, a cleric, and a druid, depending on what spells the bard takes, there is a boatload of potential healing.
There is a boatload of potential healing.
You will be on your feet far longer than you want to be.
Yes.
You're like, please, just let me die already.
Because I usually play support bards, so I mean I'm going to take some classic stuff like Vicious Mockery and Comprehend Languages, but I also took some Cure Wounds, so...
I'm not dead yet.
No.
So yes.
Was, but they won't let me die.
You will think that you are immortal. You will be healed so many damn times.
So yes, it promises to be an interesting